Hey, what's up, guys? Evan Perperis here with Christian Brown Johnson.
What's up, guys?
From the Mud Gear Hannibal Race Pro Team. We just finished, well, I didn't say we just finished. It's now the evening of day one. So we're in Kuwait for Hannibal Race Kuwait. Day one was an 8-kilometer obstacle course race. And day two, first time they're doing a 2-day event. There's a kids event, and there is a 300-meter obstacle course race. So we're going to talk a little bit about our travel experience up to this point. We're going to talk a little bit about the experience about the actual race, and then kind of what things we're looking forward for to tomorrow. So real quick, let's start off with why we decided to fly over to Kuwait, because that seems like a crazy to most people. So why did you decide to come over to Kuwait, Christian?
Well, you told me about this race, and last February we were out here in the Middle East racing, so I figured might as well go back and explore another country and do some short course stuff. It's been a while.
Yeah.
So.
And where were we last? Tell people where we were in February last year.
So we raced in Al-Ula, Saudi Arabia, and before that, I don't think you went to Dubai.
I didn't go to Dubai now.
But yeah, some of the other guys I was with, we stayed in Dubai for 3 days and explored everything we could in Dubai, and then went to Saudi. We also ended up long layover in Qatar, and explored that after. So got to see a little bit of that whole area, which is super nice. So it's cool to come out here and see another aspect of the Middle East.
Yeah, and that worked out well, because I worked in Qatar for 4 months.
Yeah.
So I actually knew my way around a little bit. So we weren't completely blind.
Yeah.
That was a nice kind of opportunity to explore the city a little bit. So flew into Kuwait. Tell me about your travel. Any thoughts on like arrival and kind of pre-race stuff?
Yeah, the flight, so I flew from Los Angeles to Doha, which is almost 16 hours, and then an hour and a half to Kuwait. Getting out of the Kuwait airport took a long time. The driver we had picking me up waited for 3 hours.
Oh, jeez.
Had to go through the whole visa process and customs. So yeah, didn't get here to the hotel until I think almost midnight, the first night. But other than that, I mean, it's been beautiful here. Kind of what I expected just by watching some videos of the area, before I came out. But everyone's super respectful, super nice. Everyone that's taking care of us has been really nice, really funny as well, entertaining.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's awesome area for sure.
And if anyone has any questions while they're tuning in, just drop it down below and we'll answer them for, what it's like racing in the Middle East, traveling to the Middle East to race Hannibal Race Kuwait.
Yeah.
So today was our first day of racing, right? So today we had the 8K. Tomorrow we have the 300 meter. Plus there's a children's race, which obviously we're not running. But if they let me, I'll jump in on that. So tell people about like what does Hannibal Race feel like compared to maybe compare and contrast to some other races that some people watching may know.
Yeah. Well, most of my background is in Tough Mudder. I've done a handful of Spartans. If you compare it to a Tough Mudder, I'd say it's very similar other than obstacles. The course was out in the middle of the desert. They were able to incorporate quite a few hills, so lots of up and down, which was great because we were all just cooking while we were running, and then you're up this super long sandy hill, and then you have a flat section, and then you're kind of down, up, just back and forth. Obstacles were very fast, simple obstacles, but very fun. The very end of the course, you end up going through some tubes and coming to the event area, the staging area, and then you have 8 obstacles all just back to back. So you got your rings, you've got basically, I don't know what they call it in Spartan, but you got a rope.
Hercoist.
Yeah, rope pull with a kettlebell on the end of it. You got to traverse over this rig, and then you got a rope climb, you have to hit a bell. Then after that, crawl through some water under these wires, jump over fire, finish line. So yeah, I mean, very, very similar to some other like Tough Mudder Spartan races for sure. Just obviously a little bit shorter compared to standard Tough Mudder distance.
And if anyone wants to see some of the obstacles, you can head over to Strength and Speed Instagram or my Instagram, Ultra-OCR Man, and then I believe I cross-posted it to OCR Buddy and the OCR Report, right? So any of those, you should be following all of those. You should be following Christian's content, Christian Brown Johnson, Ultra-OCR Man. You should be following all those for kind of updates. So the OCR Report and OCR Buddy, there's going to be like official race stuff on there, stuff you're going to get from athletes and stuff like that. If you want a little more of like the cultural and kind of like what's been going on, are beautiful. We're actually in our, I keep saying apartment.
Yeah.
It's a hotel, but it feels like an apartment. Like this is our living room, and we each have a bedroom, and we have a kitchen, and we have like a laundry area.
Yeah.
So this is
3 bathrooms in here.
This is literally. This is not a joke. This is bigger than where I live. It's literally and I have a wife and 2 kids. This place is bigger.
Yeah, this is nice.
So
yeah, I mean, this is like, other than earlier, the first time we've been in the living room. So.
It's true. Yeah. And the maid came in, so we were just hanging out in the living room while she was kind of cleaning up.
Yeah.
Talk to me. Well, actually, we'll go back at the race in a minute. Let's talk about a little bit more about the hotel. So we've been eating most of our meals on the 2nd floor. They've got a restaurant built into the hotel.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little about, maybe some people have never had Middle Eastern food, Lebanese food. Talk to me about the food that we've been eating here.
So a lot of bread, but it's funny, the bread they bring out it's basically like this puff. So you peel it apart and it's 2 very thin layers.
I love it.
And they got, I guess what I would call tapenade, which is their olive spread. Very, very good. Probably some of the best I've ever had. So usually you start with that, and then they've got all kinds of different dishes. We had the baked chicken, half chicken tonight, with some potatoes. Super, super good, super flavorful. Most of their dishes involve some form of meat and lots of spices.
I love it. It's so good.
Yeah, it's been decent on my stomach, so
it's healthy too. It's like generally healthy. So it's basically Lebanese food. If you ever had Lebanese food, it's essentially Lebanese food. It's a Lebanese restaurant essentially in the building. So taouk, which is basically like chicken, spiced chicken, and then tabbouleh, which is like finely ground. I don't even know.
Is that the green stuff?
The green stuff I was eating.
Yeah.
Fattoush salad, also really good. Hummus, baba ganoush, all that stuff. So good. Every time I come to the Middle East, I feel like I just binge eating for the whole time.
Yeah, that's what it's felt like.
That's primarily what we've been eating. It's been good. I also had a white coffee for the first time. White coffee is apparently rose water and hot water, so there's no caffeine. It's just like
I don't even know what rose water is.
it tastes like roses.
Huh.
I actually don't like it very much. I feel like I'm eating potpourri. So like sometimes they have sometimes the baklava here, like the nuts with the phyllo dough, they put rose water in it, and then when I eat it, I'm always like, I don't know. I'm not a fan. My wife thinks it's pretty good.
Now you're drinking it.
Yeah, like my wife likes lavender too, which is also has that like, I don't know. It reminds me of potpourri.
Yeah.
If anyone's just joining in, again, if you have any questions about our experience in the Middle East, feel free to drop it down below. So we went out to the race venue. I know some people like, well, what are women? What's the status of women? And like, women were at the race. They were running sometimes with the men.
Yeah.
They tend to, I'd say, compared to like the U.S., people tend to segregate a little more.
Yeah.
Right. So like, there'll be clumps of women and clumps of men, and they're usually not kind of like in a mixed gender group hanging out unless someone's like their spouse.
Yeah.
So they tend to like clump up. I would describe it. And then the women, how were they dressed? I would say most of them were wearing, some of them like long sleeves, long pants.
Yeah.
So I would say more conservatively. I didn't see any sports bras.
No.
I didn't see any. I don't think I even saw any tank tops. Did you see any tank tops?
No. It was kind of across the board. The women were either fully covered up with just their face showing, or they were wearing something more sporty. It was just a long sleeve shirt and like tights, basically.
Yeah, and even the men. I think there was one guy running shirtless.
I saw
a
a couple. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we ran with shirts. I normally run shirtless.
Yeah.
Because I'm in someone else's country. It seemed more respectful to mimic whatever the locals are doing, and the majority of the locals were wearing shirts. So I typically wear a shirt when I'm here.
Yeah.
Different from when we raced in Al Ula, because Al Ula was all foreigners coming in.
Yeah.
In Saudi Arabia, so they were basically all foreigners. So there, people just wore whatever.
Yeah.
Sports bras and
Whatever.
shirtless, and Yeah, so that was primarily foreigners, and this is primarily locals or people from surrounding countries.
Yeah.
So I know there was guys from UAE that flew in.
Yep.
There was who else was there? There's some Egyptians there. It's basically the Gulf countries.
Yeah, there were some other Americans there too. I was surprised. There was a guy from Colorado out there that was filming after the race.
I think most of those guys are local, like they're working over here in Kuwait, and then they saw the opportunity to race and they jumped in on it, which is actually how I ended up finding Hannibal Race in the first place. I was working in Lebanon for the government, working at the embassy there, and one of my friends was like, "Hey, there's an obstacle course race in Lebanon in 2 weeks," and I was like, "No, there's not." I was like, I know obstacle course racing. There's no obstacle course race in Lebanon. And he brought me a flyer. He's like, here it is. So it's 2015. So I was still kind of like on the recovery mode from World's Toughest Mudder, and jumped into Hannibal Race, met the owner. Fast forward a little over a decade, and here we are sitting in Kuwait. I've run like 5 of them, so it's been a wild ride, a great experience.
Yeah, it was really fun. I think I'm kind of riding the high from running a very fast, short race today. Something I'm not used to.
Oh, we didn't even say how'd you do? Talk about placement.
So I took 3rd overall. We ran the first elite wave, and there's some really good road runners in the race. And there were 3 guys ahead of me the whole time, and I knew I wasn't going to catch them. But funny thing, when we got to the very end, they couldn't do rings, they couldn't do a rope climb, so all 3 of them were sitting there doing 20 burpees at each station. So, like, I would say they probably had a minute and a half, 2 minutes on me, and when I got to the rope climb, I climbed up and passed all 3 of them, and I won that wave. But overall, there were 2 UAE guys that are very, very good athletes. I think they're OCR athletes.
I think those guys are actually. Someone was saying they are at the Gov Games. For anyone who follows like the elite OCR circuit, that big event they do in Dubai.
Yeah. So the winner, he finished about 5 minutes ahead of me. So I mean, he was moving,
cruising. And they were stick.
Yeah,
they're stick thin.
Yeah,
like
really thin guys. But yeah, I mean, I'm just thankful to podium in another country. So that's exciting for myself.
Yeah. Pretty awesome.
Yeah,
so,
and they pay out very well over here too, and they actually give you cash.
Out on the spot. You didn't have to wait 6 months.
Yeah, I know. I'm still waiting for some WTM money, but we know how that goes.
Yeah. We also did a couple interviews. Again, if you head over to the Strength and Speed Instagram page, and again, I tried to cross-post it to OCR Buddy and the OCR Report. We did some interviews with some of the locals, local-ish people. A 60-year-old athlete.
Yeah.
She competes in high rocks. That was crazy.
Yeah.
She got an interesting story. And then one of the guys I met on my last trip here in 2023, Omar, who's a champion kickboxer, and he basically does OCR as cross training for cardio conditioning. So we got to talk to him a little bit. And then Muhammad Jafar, who's another former, used to be big into OCR, and now he's more big into high rocks.
Yeah.
I've been surprised the number of how popular high rocks is here.
Yeah, it sounds like most of the people out there are doing high rocks now.
Yeah, I feel like there's been a big. I know we saw a shift in the U.S., but I feel like here it feels more pronounced.
Yeah, because some of the people here that do it, they were talking about how many different countries out here they were traveling around to do high rocks. It just seemed like a normal thing. Like, we're going here and here and here. So yeah, it's definitely worldwide popular at this point.
Yeah, and then so we did. I'm skipping over stuff. Last night we went to the Elite Fitness.
Yeah,
Elite Fitness. It's a gym in Kuwait. Side note: Kuwait has the nicest gyms I've ever seen in the entire world. So Elite Fitness was very nice.
Yeah.
It also has Oxygen, which is a famous bodybuilding gym. Anyone who follows Mr. Olympia bodybuilding, Big Ramy, he won Mr. Olympia a couple years ago. That's like the gym he used to train at. I'm not sure if he still does. I stopped following bodybuilding years ago. But it is essentially 3 stories of fitness equipment. It is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to hit it up on Sunday since we have an extra day here.
Yeah. The Elite Fitness Gym, really clean, beautiful gym. I think that one was four levels high. We went there because Red Bull Kuwait had put on a seminar with Ida. What's her last name?
Ida Matilda?
Matilda, yeah. So she she came out and just kind of was there to talk about her experiences, and then her recent project with Red Bull, the toughest obstacle course that they built for her, which was really cool. And Red Bull had a whole setup, so they have this balcony where they have kind of an outdoor part of their gym. So Red Bull had a DJ there. I mean, they've got a freaking awesome DJ at like every single thing they do. And then they had someone making mixed fruit drinks with Red Bull. They had all this really nice food, photographers, videographers. So it was a whole thing last night. And then they held a little workout afterwards. So they put on a good event.
They did, and it was nice. The seminar was the talking part was they kind of kept it moving, and they were like interacting with the crowd, and they wanted us to say a couple things, so we shared our opinion and kind of some of our background, which is nice. Nice to get some of that recognition. I appreciate that from Muhammad. And good to see Ida again. I don't think I'd seen her since we raced in Kuwait, not Kuwait, Alula, Saudi.
Last year.
So good to see her. And then if you haven't seen her project on the Red Bull thing, I don't know, as an OCR person, people who are not OCR people kept sending it to me on Instagram. Yeah. But it's basically they built like a 10-station obstacle course. Is it possibly in her backyard? I'm not sure. Some piece of land.
It was like on a farm.
It looked like it was on a farm. And basically it was like all these different obstacles in a row. And there's a short version you can see on Instagram. I've seen it's probably about a minute. And there's like an 11 or 12 minute one that should be up on YouTube where they talk about the actual building. And hey Courtney, and we got Steve Bacon, New England OCR Expo. Side note, make sure you guys check that out if you're in the Northeast. New England OCR Expo, April 4th and 5th, I believe it is. A lot of cool opportunities and essentially a free race if you go to that, so it's worth the price of entry. And Courtney, one of our new teammates there watching. So, hey Courtney, how's it going? Talk to me about the workout area we went to afterwards. What was unique about it?
At Elite?
At Elite.
It was a full-fledged High Rocks gym. It was like they had one floor basically with this room that was decked out with literally everything High Rocks, like the exact weights they use at High Rocks, the brand, everything. And then,
like these giant High Rocks letters that were like glowing when you walked in. Yeah. It looked so cool.
The whole room, they had all these blue lights everywhere. So when they darkened it, it just lit up solid blue.
And then it, like you said, it had the old High Rock stations, right? Yeah. So you could do essentially a full race simulation workout for High Rocks in this room. Yeah. With the motivation, the music, the branding, all that stuff. It was so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it was set up really, really nice.
We did this. So we did the seminar last night. Woke up early this morning. Went to the race.
Real early.
Yeah. The sleep. Actually, my sleep adjustment hasn't been too bad. Anyone who travels overseas for races, my recommendation is always bring melatonin. That's always my recommendation. Yeah. Because it'll put you out. And a lot of times I feel like if you're, a lot of times I can feel like I fall asleep fine and I can't stay asleep. Yeah. So sometimes my recommendation is to fall asleep normally and then take the melatonin when you wake up in the middle of the night, and then that'll put you back out. Actually, this trip, my wife bought me like high milligram melatonin, and it put me down. Yeah. It put me down hard. So I've been sleeping actually probably better than I normally do when I travel international.
That's good. I took some that you gave me last night, and I probably woke up 4 times with my phone ringing last night because of the time difference. Everyone's calling me. So, yeah, it's been a little tough to sleep properly, but I definitely feel the jet lag now.
Yeah. If anyone's just joining us, if anyone has any questions, just drop them in on what it's like racing in the Middle East, traveling in the Middle East. Hannibal Race Kuwait. Again, we did the 8K today. Yeah. Christian won his wave, but because there's multiple waves, ended up coming in third. Yeah. I think I came in like 7th on my wave-ish, something like that. Yeah, I'm not sure. And then I dropped back to like 12th. Not my best performance. Getting close to OCR retirement for myself, but still a great opportunity to come out and enjoy the race, enjoy the atmosphere. And the race owner, Amin, good friends. I've been friends with him for over a decade. It was nice to see him and be back in Kuwait with him. We've traveled over here with Rachel Waters. We've traveled over here with Brennan Calvert, a couple times. Daniel Leonard from Strength and Speed has been over here as well. So it's cool to kind of bring people over and show them the environment. And then on top of that, what's kind of interesting is the race venue, very similar race venue to 2019, is right next to where I used to work when I was in the military. So like there's like a Kuwaiti military base. We helped train some of the guys over there. So it's cool to like be where I used to work, and but it'd be in a different format. It'd be like, you know, no worries of job, just be like, I'm over here to race and have fun.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we were kind of in like a historic war area too, right?
Yeah. So where the area we're in is very close to anyone who followed like the 90 Gulf War, 91 Gulf War. It's called the Highway of Death. Essentially, the Iraqi military was retreating and refused to surrender, and the U.S. military essentially bombed them along this like road. It was pretty. I mean, you can Google images of it. It's pretty nasty.
Yeah.
Content warning for that. Steve Big, have fun, Kate. Yeah, appreciate it, Steve.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll see how our kids race goes tomorrow. We're
We're
gonna try to win.
I'm gonna beat those kids real good. Yeah, run them down. I have been practicing against my own two children, so I feel like I have an advantage.
Yeah, I
And
don't have kids yet, so I have an advantage.
I got points up for me. Obviously both of us ultra distance guys, right?
Yeah.
I'm actually excited about the 300 meter tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be like over so quick. Basically, it's just the last segment of the race we did today, where it's just like at the venue gathering where the last 8 obstacles are. So I think we'll take off and make a left, run down the road, and then turn basically straight into those last set of obstacles. And I mean, it's going to be a 5-minute race.
Yeah, I actually think it's really, if any of the American brands want to like steal this idea, I think it's actually a really genius idea.
Yeah.
You do the big race on Saturday.
Yeah.
You stack the festival area towards the end with a lot of obstacles because there's a lot of people watching. People like to see the ending of a race, so good for the spectators, good for the athletes. And then the next day, you basically just use that final obstacle area. And if you're a little motivated, you drag in a couple of obstacles that were easy move obstacles, and you've got a short course. And then you're making money for another day.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really clever idea. Hannibal Race has always been, they've actually always been like pretty far in the forefront of things.
Yeah.
So in the first time I raced them, 2015, they televised the Hannibal Race on Lebanese TV, like broadcast in the Middle East live. So just like the New York City Marathon, if I'm grew up in Long Island, the New York City Marathon's televised live, and they follow it the entire time.
Yeah.
They followed Hannibal Race live with announcers, and like it was insane.
Cool.
So when me and Brenna came in 2017, we did the race, and we get back to the hotel, and the guy at the front desk is like, "Oh, great job! I was watching you on TV," and it was like so cool that people knew OCR that weren't like at the race, or you know, that kind of a little more. It made it a little more public, a little more like community city feel.
Yeah, that's what we need to get back to with OCR. I mean, it's tough nowadays. I feel like it's more on a downward trend, at least in the States. Yeah. But I remember the WTM days when it was, you know, what was it, CBS?
CBS, yeah, it was on CBS Prime. It was CBS Prime, wasn't even CBS Sports.
You know, kind of putting the sport on the map, and nowadays it's not widely known. You know, you tell somebody about it, and they're like, "Oh, what's that?" You know, it's not really, it's not a popular thing like High Rocks is now. But like Ida told us today, you know, she kind of transferred from OCR to High Rocks, and she was telling us that she truly misses OCR, the format of being outdoors and having varying terrain, obstacles and stuff like that. So I hope it has a little bit of a comeback. I think outside of the U.S. it's still popular and will be for a while. But we'll see what happens in the States. Hopefully there can be a positive shift and get some more action on our home territory.
Yeah, things go through cycles all the time. So, the one thing after being involved in the sport for over a decade at that point, the only constant thing in the OCR is change.
Yeah.
Because every couple of years it's like, oh no, this is it. This is how things are going to be, and this is how the championship. And then like a year later, it's like, oh, we're not doing TMX anymore, and you're like, oh, Tough Mudder went out of business. No, they're not. We're back.
Yeah.
You know, and then like, OCRWC is the big event. Okay, we're not doing one in 2025. And you're like, wait, what? So there's always change. People used to talk about the big three: Tough Mudder, Spartan, and Warrior Dash, and then it became Tough Mudder, Warrior Dash, and I guess Rugged. I'm sorry, Tough Mudder, Spartan, and like Rugged technically.
Yeah.
And then Rugged disappeared, and then technically Tough Mudder disappeared and came back. So.
Yeah. So there's still a lot in the Midwest, right? Like some smaller companies.
Yeah. So one of them, Mythic Race, they hold their events in April. So that highly recommend that. William Schell, strength and speed guy, also, he's an obstacle course racer himself, so he knows what he likes.
Yeah.
And he brings that. He was one of the guys who, people are always like, why don't you bring your race to my area? Why don't you bring your? And he was like, I'm just going to make my own race.
Yeah.
And then it'll be local for me.
Yeah.
So, William Schell, check out Mythic Race. They've got an endurance and an elite option, and like an open wave option. And then they're part of something called, I might mess up the name. It was called the Hydra last year. I think it's just called the Midwest OCR series this year. So, I believe you have to do 3 races. If you end up watching this, comment down below. Or if any of the other guys from the series, feel free to comment down below. So, Mythic Race, Conquer the Gauntlet, which was bought by John Taylor. So the main prize is sold it. John Taylor bought it. John Taylor is a Masters great OCR athlete, so he squeezes onto the podium sometimes, and then like basically always wins his age group type guy. He's been on hasn't been on Ninja Warrior, but he owns a ninja gym, so he trains all
nice.
ninja gym. So he's amazing. So he bought Conquer the Gauntlet, and they're doing 2 events this year, and then Doug Littlefield. I give my name. So the Hazelwood OCR. So Hazelwood OCR, another small brand, but in the Midwest near St. Louis. Such a good brand. They pack in so many obstacles in like 2 or 3 miles. It's stupid. It's like 50 obstacles in 3 miles.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's so much fun, and it's run in a time trial format. Just like tomorrow, we're doing the 300 meter for Hannibal race, which will be a time trial format.
Yeah.
So you can't let off the gas. You just kind of have to floor it and see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like today too.
That's
It's like it was. I think my watch I had 4.62 miles. When we finished, and it was just don't let off the gas the whole time, basically.
Yeah. Side note: if anyone just jumped in has any questions, feel free to drop them down below. We're in Kuwait at the hotel right now.
My grandma just jumped in.
Oh yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
We'll work on Christian winning tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll see. We saw your comment. I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
She said I have to win tomorrow. Take first. So we'll see. We're gonna try.
Yeah. So, let's talk real quick about. I know you have a bunch of huge stuff planned this year. I don't think we can reveal all of it.
Partially.
Let's reveal some. Let's reveal one of it, and then give me a vague idea of what the second one is. Keep it vague. So first big event after Hannibal race.
First one, April 4th through the 11th. So 7 days to finish. It is the Arizona Monster 300. So it's 304 miles from the northern end of Arizona to the southern end. Basically, all of it's almost single track, point to point, and be my first what I call mega ultra. So I've paced Jake Ransby, Elliot Rube on Moab 240, Tahoe 200. Sorry, Elliot. It's Elliot Reeb. I've always called him Rube.
Really?
It's Reeb. He corrected me like a year or 2 ago. Sorry, I always go back to the original.
Well,
way
I feel like the entire OCR world has been saying it wrong then.
Yeah. So I was finally able to sign up for my own mega ultra, and this is the first 300 miler that
Jeff's. Yeah, hey Jeff. Another world's toughest guy.
What's up, buddy?
Top 10 guy.
Yeah.
Toughest mudder, podium finisher type of guy.
Yeah. I'm gonna be him. You and I, buddy. We're going for it.
Jeff, he's doing the Monster 300.
Yeah,
oh,
Jeff.
Sick! I didn't
so
know that.
Elliot and I and Jeff we're all racing it. But Destination Trails first 300 miler. Other than that, they've got Bigfoot 200.
It's first 300 miler in the U.S. Is that correct?
I think so.
Okay, we think so.
Other than like ITI, sled pool, that kind of stuff.
I feel like that's different. It's
500,
different enough.
1,000 mile.
Count.
Yeah, but this is a little different. So I've got that. Potentially WTM. That's only 2 months after Monster. So we'll see how I'm feeling. And then November, I am attempting to set a Guinness World Record. It'll be a worldwide attempt. So this will take place at a few different places around the world within a very short time frame. So yeah, I'll release some more information on that. But
once it gets closer.
Yeah, once it gets closer.
I got to sneak. I've been hanging out with him long enough, and he spilled the beans, and I'm excited. It's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm working on trying to get some sponsors to jump on board, and obviously give them something in return. So if anybody out there has any ideas or owns a company that would like to chat with me about potentially having their name on this attempt, feel free to reach out. It's going to be pretty big. There's currently a female that has set the same record, but as of now, there is no male. So this will be a Guinness World Record first for this. So yeah, something I've been thinking about for almost a year now, and it's finally kind of coming together. Lots of logistics, lots of planning, and finding the right people to help make it happen. So I'm excited. It's not going to be easy whatsoever. But let's just say the Arizona Monster 300 is going to be a good prep for it. So,
and I think every little bit, as someone who's like put on several self-created charity events where it involves thousands of dollars to like get things moving, I'd say every little bit helps, right? So like, if you're a company or you have a brand or you work for a brand that's just like, hey, I want to give a couple $100, like you get enough brands to do that. It just chips away at the overall cost and helps one. It's like cool. I feel like it's cool to be associated with something big, and then it helps reduce costs for you. Lets you know people are supporting you. I've done it for other people. Strength and Speed actually sponsored, was a sub-sponsor for Karate Combat. One of the guys I had on my podcast, Josh Quayhagen, he's a fighter, and it was cool to see. They YouTubed the fight. It was like a championship fight. It was like champion versus champions for like belt unification type thing. Oh no, it was two different weight classes. They were kind of in the middle, and it was cool. I saw like on YouTube, his trainer turns around and there's like the Barbell Wings logo, like in like the championship fight. So it was cool to see that type of stuff, and makes you feel like you're part of the actual journey or whatever that may be. So Thomas Plush just jumped on. How's it going, Thomas? One of our pro team guys for the last couple of years, representing the Midwest, doing great there. And Charlie Bohr, yeah,
I love Charlie.
Charlie just started following me on Instagram. He's one of those people where it's like it's like, were we not friends on Instagram? It's like one of the. There's always those people where like you're like, what do you mean we're not friends on Instagram? We're like up on Facebook. Someone you've seen at events for years, and you just assume that you're following each other. That's pretty funny.
Yeah. Charlie's been around WTM for a long time.
Indeed, yeah. Former Holy Grail champion.
Yeah.
Did it a lot harder than I did. He flew like all over the world, chasing them. My claim to fame for Holy Grail championships is I have the fewest number of events and still won. Okay. So I did 4 of
mileage, right?
It's a mileage thing. So you can accumulate mileage, but between, at the time it was tougher, toughest, and world's toughest mudder. Now it's infinity, toughest, and world's toughest mudder. Mm-hmm. And I won with 4 events.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so 3 is the minimum to even qualify, and I won with 4. It's just like a weird year, and I had good mileage at world's toughest and good mileage at toughest, and the guys who were ahead of me they didn't put up big mileage at Worlds. And I think I hit 90 that year, and it made the difference. I think I won by like 5 miles or something insane.
That was close.
Yeah. And I was beating myself up going into it because I was like, man, I should have just added one more infinity or one more, one more toughest. I should have done one more toughest to kind of like boost it. And, but it worked out well. So.
Yeah, I mean, you never know.
And that's the thing about OCR, like you never know. Even today, right? So you're in essentially 4th place of your wave. And if you would have given up, right? You wouldn't have. And then, those guys failed the obstacle, and you moved into 1st for the wave and 3rd overall.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the beauty of the sport. It's you can be a very fast runner, but if you can't do obstacles, that's where the difference is made.
Yeah, which is also why I like mandatory completion.
Yeah,
a little biased to that. If it would have been mandatory completion today, I think I would have come in 2nd.
Yeah.
But different brands, different rules. So
yeah. Yeah, it was burpees. I think every station was burpees if you couldn't complete.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And the hospitality here has been great. I know we talked a little bit about it. So the Hannibal Race is owned by Amin Dib, and then Sanjeev Badri and his wife Hiba.
Yeah.
So they've been taking care of us. We're gonna head over to their place tomorrow and have a nice meal over the last couple of days. The build crew here has been busting their butt. They work such long hours because they're staying in the same hotel, so they text us usually when they get back. We usually say hi or something. And
Yeah. Well, we just had dinner with them, so that was good.
yeah, they're a riot.
Yeah.
Good group of guys. So got some funny opinions.
Yeah. They're good stories. That's actually
stories, yeah.
actually a good lesson on history in the
Yeah.
area too. So it's, in America we hear certain things on the news and social media, but when you come over here and you can talk to someone that lives in the area or nearby and can give you the real perspective on things, it's really interesting.
Yeah, and they've lived through it, right? Lebanon's been in a couple of conflicts over the last 40 years.
Yeah.
And then even Kuwait, right? Kuwait's had invasion of when Iraq invaded in 1991. So
yeah, it's been good so far. Yeah, they're all jazzed up about the dinner tomorrow night at Audrey's house.
Yeah.
We've been talking about it all day.
So
We can't wait to have you guys over and have some extra fun.
So again, if you're kind of joining us a little bit late, head over to my Instagram page and Strength and Speed Instagram page. My Instagram page has the seminar video, so some of you want to see what like that elite fitness kind of outside gym looks like that with the seminar with Ida. It's got a video of the obstacles from Hannibal Race today, and then we did a bunch of interviews with people from the course. I got to post Christian still, and I got to post Ida's. So I got a couple of like clip editing just so it's a little bit smoother for you guys. We'll post those again on Strength and Speed, and then cross post to OCR Buddy and the OCR Report. So it's been fun.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Any final before we get going? Anything else we need to talk about before we kind of sign off?
No, nothing specific. I think
we'll do another live tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just kind of give you like a roundabout how the 300 meter went, kind of update you to the end of the trip.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that'll be fun.
I'm looking forward to it.
Very, very fast.
I will say as someone who's raced all over the world, I feel like taking a destination trip. I'm not saying you have to fly to Kuwait, right? But like, take a destination trip.
Oh yeah, it's the best.
And destination means different things for different people, right? Like your destination might be Hawaii, Spartan.
Yeah.
Your destination might be 2 states over, right? But like, go someplace, explore. Because of OCR, I've not only seen countries all over the world, right? Last year, Saudi Arabia, I've never been to. Qatar. Yeah. This year, Kuwait. I've been to Australia in the past. I've been to Lebanon. I've raced in the UK.
Yeah.
Let's exclude all that. Even just in the United States, because of OCR, I've gone to states that I never would have gone to.
Yeah.
And I've been to, I think at this point, I've been to like 45 of the 50 states.
Wow.
And a lot of it has to do with, moving around because of the military, and then every time we moved from the military, I was also racing, so I would go and visit whatever like the nearby states were. So basically, anytime we move, you just draw like basically an 8-hour driving ring, and I hit basically every state in that area. Yeah. And typically, it was because of a race. Because you're always like, oh, I'll just go. We can go there next week, and we go, and people just don't. But if you put a race on the calendar, it forces your hand, and you're like, well, I have to go here now because I have a race.
Yeah. And
then you stay maybe an extra night if you can, if you have the budget and the time.
Yeah.
And then you check it out, and then I have a family, and we would turn into like little family trips, go to museums, do whatever.
Yeah, and if you have the opportunity to leave your country and go somewhere else, definitely take the opportunity to do it. It's a good cultural experience, and going to another state is cool. You get to experience something, but going outside, I mean, it's kind of like going outside your comfort zone, right? I mean, it's totally different here. The culture is completely different, so it's good to experience these things. And when you go back home, you can take that with you, and you learn from it too. So it's definitely a blessing for sure. I've had some opportunities in the past few years where with Ironman I got to go to Nice, France to race, and my wife and I, we made a trip out of it after, and we ended up over in Italy, and we actually stayed with some local friends of ours. Their family lives in Sicily, and we got to stay with them for a few days, and they didn't speak any English, and they made us home cooked meals every night. They took care of us, and that experience was something I'll remember forever. But that just came from applying myself to the athletic events, Ironmans, and same thing with OCR. Going out to Saudi last year, we got invited to go out there. Then Evan told me about this, maybe a month ago.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, let's go. And the hospitality here is great. And, it's just opportunities. When you jump on opportunities like this, you get to make a lot of great connections and to see more of what life has to offer.
Yeah.
So
I know, even as someone, right, so I was, through the military, I'd spent a lot of time in the Middle East. A lot of time was on American bases. And then I eventually had a trip where I lived in downtown Kuwait City. And in 2 months in living in downtown Kuwait City, I learned more about the culture than I did in the 2+ years of time in Iraq.
Yeah.
Just because I was like immersed in it, and you have to figure things out, right? So you're like, you leave, and honestly, with modern cell phones now, it's so much easier.
Yeah.
Versus I've traveled before having like a smartphone. I went to Russia 2007 without a smartphone. It was like before smartphones were real popular, and it was a little sketchy.
Yeah.
Like in hindsight, I'm like, maybe that was not the best idea. But with smartphones, you just constantly have access to information, maps, digital payment, help if you need it, right? Like
it makes it easy.
It's so much easier. So, I'd highly recommend traveling.
Yeah. And I think tomorrow, on a side note here, we're gonna go do a little exploring, see some, I guess, some touristy things here. There's really not much here.
It's not like Dubai. Dubai is very like, I compare Dubai to like Arabic Disney World.
Oh,
like
totally.
Everything is like ostentatious and fake. Not like it's just like Dubai was like just a flat piece of desert 40 years ago, and now it's like preposterously large. Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's it's unreal. Dubai is the most unreal place I've ever seen in my life. It's the architecture.
The architecture's insane.
What they do there. If you think of just action sports and stuff, they just had the Jetman flying competition.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, where people literally had jetpacks on and they were racing each other over the water in Dubai. They just do crazy stuff there. Lots of Red Bull videos out of Dubai. Yeah, it's like the Disneyland of cities. Kuwait though, a little more like what the locals, the people we've been spending time with have been saying. It's like Kuwait's going backwards right now, is what they explained it as. But there's not a whole lot to see. It's very, very small. You could probably drive across Kuwait in an hour maybe?
Yeah. You could drive through from one end of the populated area to the other end. We essentially did it today.
Yeah.
Because we're on the coast. Our hotel is like the water is like a block that way. Yeah. And we drove to the western edge of the city, and it took about 44 minutes. Yeah,
we were actually kind of right. We hit the desert, and Iraq is right above us.
Yeah.
But there's some museums here we're gonna go check out, and they have some cool towers on the water. I guess there's a restaurant that spins around in one of them, so we'll go check that out either tomorrow or Sunday. Other than that, one more race. Yeah.
I'm not used to this travel when I get double races. So.
Yeah.
We have mixed feelings about it. I'm excited.
I'm excited. It's fun. Today was awesome, so I'm still living off the high of just being able to run out in the desert and have some fun on obstacles. So, tomorrow's literally going to be like a 5-minute long race, if that.
Yeah.
So, very, very fast. Today's was fast too, the 39-minute race compared to what we're used to, 24, 25 hours. It's a little different.
Yeah. But it's nice. I like the variability. I like the it's you can't specialize in both, but if you train in one, you can kind of fake it in some other ones. Like especially we were talking with Ida today. Especially if you're a long guy.
Yeah.
A lot of times you can fake it at a shorter distance because you've built up enough of an aerobic threshold, aerobic base, where you can stay close to the guys, unless they're very specialized. Or today, like they were just so fast. I mean, one of the guys we were running with, he's like, I run like a 15, 25, 5K. I was like,
225 marathon. Yeah,
225. Yeah, that's
yeah. So he was actually ahead of me with two other guys, excellent runners, but like I was saying earlier, at the very end, they had no clue how to do any of those upper body obstacles. They just didn't have the strength or the training to do them, and that's where I caught up. But yeah, having good runners like that, I told him, I said, if you could train yourself to do obstacles, you would be unstoppable at OCR. So there's a lot of people out here with good potential.
There was for years when I got into OCR, and I did my first one in 2013, got a little more involved 14, then by 15 I was like fully invested. And for years I was like, I'm just waiting for all the runners to realize the opportunities that are here.
Yeah.
And I was like, so like 15, 16, 17, I was waiting to just like get blown out of the back end of the sport and be like, oh, the runners are coming, because I was a road runner before that. Not bad, but not like nothing noteworthy. Right, like I qualified for Boston, the sub 3 hour marathon, but like nothing. Like I'm not going to the Olympics. I'm never, it's still like 50 minutes off of that. And I was like, the runners are going to show up and they're just going to blow me out of the back of the sport. And then eventually it dawned on me that when I saw enough runners come over, like I said, they had no upper body, and they couldn't get used to that. Like, well, I have to train upper body too, but then my speed is going to slow down. It's like, yeah, but only marginally. Yeah. And then you'll be more functional and you'll be able to do the obstacles. But a lot of them don't. They're just it's hard to break out of that mentality of where like all you've been focused on is running speed. Yeah. But I legitimately think OCR is truly the most functional sport.
Oh yeah.
I know like CrossFit is like functional fitness. Yeah. I truly think OCR is the most functional sport, because short races, long races, lifting things up, climbing over things, putting things down, getting up, right? Like getting on the ground to go low pro on things and standing back up, right? Like, that's legitimate functional fitness. Like that's what old people have trouble doing. Yeah. Like sitting down, standing up, going under, it's truly functional fitness, and then moving your own body weight through space and time, right? Yes. Right, because who's cleaning things? Who's putting groceries and like like throwing groceries.
Snatch this grocery bag up. Right. So that's kind of funny you brought that up, because when I started in OCR, like I didn't really start taking it super serious, I'd say, until 2019. And I think the main reason backing that is I was a CrossFitter at first. I was heavy into CrossFit. And I was never super strong, but I had an engine, and I could almost outwork nearly most of the people in my gym, and we'd compete every single day, and I was like addicted to it. So my first few years at WTM, I was hardly running. Like I'd go run like 3 miles a day, maybe 5, and put in very minimal weeks. I was lifting all the time, so obstacles were no problem for me, but the endurance is where I lacked. I mean, it took me 4 years to break out of the 50-60 mile zone, and reason due to that was I had the ego of I don't want to leave CrossFit. I don't want to switch over to running, even though I knew in the back of my mind if I put in the work I could potentially do well. So I finally let go of that and completely changed up my training into a lot more endurance and different styles of lifting. And then what really kind of just rocketed my athletic performance was in 2021 I hired a coach, and from there on it's just been I've learned so much from her, and I was with her for 3 years, and now I basically do my own programming. But just that trajectory was just, from 80 miles at WTM to 300s in 4 years, and Ironman World Championships and things like that. It's if you really apply yourself and you kind of let the ego down and trust in people that have more knowledge than you do and what you're trying to do, it'll just, like I said, rocket you towards your goals and make you so much better.
Yeah. And it was funny is I remember, I know we talked about it when I interviewed you on the Strength and Speed podcast a couple years ago. But you were like, yeah, I've been doing World Toughest Mudder for like 10 years. And I was like, what? I was like, I thought you just showed up like 3 years ago.
No, I've done it 9 times now.
Because you were in the 50-mile range. And then, not that like, you're just not on my radar, right? Like if like I'm paying attention to the guys right in front of me, the guys right behind me.
Yeah.
And then the people who are like, who show up to a lot of events and you kind of recognize the faces. And you started hitting 100 miles or near 100 miles, and then I was like, oh, who's this guy?
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, no, I've been here a long time. And you're like, oh, fascinating.
Yeah. Well,
but it shows you like how much, when you focus, you specialize, you put in the work.
Yeah, and I mean, I was, I'm 30 now, but when I started my first WTM, I think I was 20. And I feel like my endurance has gotten so much better as I've gotten older, honestly. My first year was 50, and then I think I had three years of 60. Yeah. And then I hit 80 last year in Atlanta. And then, we had our COVID year. And then when I came back, that's when I hit the first 100.
Yeah.
Which I have I look back at that now and think, like, I have no clue how I did that because I am nowhere near the athlete I am now as I was in 21. And I somehow pulled 100 out of nowhere. So it's, you just got to make the positive changes in the right direction and good things will come.
Yeah. It was impressive.
Thank you.
It's been an impressive ride, and again, you still got a good. We were talking about earlier. I felt like my fitness kept getting better up until for me, it was about 39.
Yeah.
And that'll vary per. That's not like a hard rule, right? It varies.
Is Josh watching?
Yeah. It varies by training history. It varies by training volume. It varies by what you're doing, right? And then age plays a factor, and there's a lot of things plays a factor. But essentially,
lifestyle work,
other commitments, and I with the amount of time I was willing to put in and the amount of effort I was willing to get back, it's kind of where it plateaued. And
I mean it's tough, especially the long endurance stuff.
It does,
Right now, my training weeks. When I was doing Ironman training the past few years, leading up to an Ironman, I was doing 22-hour weeks, which is just, it's like I literally considered it another full-time job. And it's very, very difficult. Now I'm mostly just lifting and running, and I'm still putting in 15, 16-hour weeks. But it's a little more manageable versus Ironman training because you got a lot more you got to do. You got to go to a gym with a pool. You got to get on the bike. You got to go run, lift. Running and lifting is a little more manageable with, lifestyle, in my opinion. And but it's still a lot of time, a huge commitment, putting a lot of strain on the body. There's a lot that factors in with that, diet, making sure you're doing the right things, and missing, I guess, social time with family and friends so you can train. But you got to put in.
Yeah, sacrifice. If you want to hit some certain goals, you got to sacrifice some time and changes priorities. I don't know. I moved around a lot, so a lot of my friends were geographically distant. I knew friends in the military, but I felt less of a pressure to be social.
Yeah.
So it was a lot easier for me to be like, oh well, this guy I met like 3 months ago, like I'll just go ride my bike tonight, or I'll just go for a run instead of hanging out. For me, it was an easier social push.
Yeah.
And the first kind of like real endurance training I did was for an Ironman, and I was a senior in college, and I started essentially January, so it was between semesters, and I was following like an Ironman training book. It was the only book available at the time called Going Long. Is the name of the book. And I remember I followed like the first week or two of the plan, and I don't have classes, and I was just exhausted.
Yeah.
It was a full time. I'm a student, and I'm like, people are like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm going back to the gym." You're like, "You going back? You're just there. You just went for a run." I was like, it was exhausting. But lessons like that have taught me about like how much time and effort and how much focus you have if you want to hit certain goals.
Yeah.
So like my experiences doing marathon running, triathlon, and then some like natural bodybuilding, I wouldn't be able to do the stuff I did in OCR without having those experiences to be like, hey, this is in order to succeed, you need to do an X, Y, Z. Here's how you need to structure your schedule. Here's how you need to structure your life. Here's how you need to like periodization, peaking, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. It's a lot of work, but if you're determined and have the discipline to do it, you'll succeed. It might take time, but it'll happen.
Yeah. My first marathon was 2003, and I didn't run World's Toughest until 2014, and that's when I felt like I was good. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like that's when I felt like, for 10 years I was doing whatever.
Yeah.
Kind of half-ass train.
Yeah.
Just show up, kind of like, be like, well, I'm just gonna man up on race day.
I'm just gonna figure this out.
We'll be fine. And like, yeah, I was fine, kind of, but like, you're not performing, you're surviving.
Yeah.
And there's a difference.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, WTN, we can get into that topic of what that entails, for hours. But one other important aspect is your nutrition as well. My first WTN, I showed up with like a pack of Spring Energies. It was like, yeah, this is my race nutrition.
This will be good.
Yeah. And now it's like I have it very structured where it's carbohydrate drinks and certain foods, and then it's like, hey, throw that out the window. We're eating pizza. We're eating just a lot more. So food it's like one of the biggest aspects of long endurance. For sure. And if you don't get that right, that can make or break your race.
Yeah. Tell people, we're gonna get going. Tell people where they can find out more about you. Some of the other, I know you got a whole bunch of entrepreneurial side businesses, so plug those real quick.
Yeah, so on Instagram at Christian Brown Johnson. I don't do a whole lot on Facebook. All my Instagram stuff gets transferred over there. I own Valley Cold Plunges, so on Instagram at Valley Cold Plunges, or the website valleycoldplunges.com. So I just started up that business towards the end of last year. So we sell inflatable cold plunge tubs with 1 horsepower chillers. We've also got a couple different models, and we can also do custom orders and custom branding on any of the products. Say if you have a gym or something specific you need it for. We're currently working with an MLB facility in Scottsdale, Arizona, so we're hopefully going to get some products in their gym later on this year. And we've done some stuff with nationwide run clubs, like Run with Christ. We donated some, what I call the community plunge, so 6-person cold plunge tubs to them. So if you have a run club or something you need a specific tub for, we can take care of that as well. Other than that, if you're Central Valley, California, I do real estate and ag services. So if you farm or looking for a property, reach out to me. I can help you out there as well. And I also coach too. So if you need Ironman coaching or WTM coaching, ultra running, marathon, whatever it is, I coach for NVDM Coaching. They're based out of Austin, Texas. It's primarily a kind of Ironman training company, but I train, like I said, all kinds of athletes. So I've trained athletes from 5K to 100 miler in 7 months, from also athletes from no triathlon experience to doing a full Ironman. So if any of you need some help, let me know.
And obviously, the man not only knows the skills, but can physically do it themselves, right? So I think, for me, if I was like someone looking for a coach, I would be drawn to you, not only because you can do it, but at one point you couldn't.
Yeah.
And that's the big difference, because you'll get a lot of athletes who are like, well, you just have like a natural VO2 max of like, whatever, some ridiculous number, and you're just built like this, and then you can do it. But like, again, 50 miles to 100 miles at Worlds, you literally doubled what you would physically capable of. 100, double plus, right? So you literally doubled. So you've gone through the journey, and I think that speaks a lot, not only about you as a person, but shows that you have the knowledge to pull someone else up that path.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for the premium way to get better, Christian, I would hit him up and get some professional coaching. If you are not ready to take that type of commitment, I've got books.
Yeah.
They're relatively cheap, anywhere between about like $15 and $30.
Yeah.
You can dip your toe in the water there, and then if you like that and want more, you go to him, and then you can,
Yeah,
get the
you've
full-
got some
full
good
package.
books.
Thank you.
You go in depth on everything, so it's cool. Yeah, the one you just sent me recently was it the sponsored athlete?
Yeah,
So that's really cool.
and
That's hard for a lot of athletes.
It
too.
is.
Like, I mean, I'm going through that. Trying to find sponsors. It's like, how do you do that? And he's figured it out. So, got a whole book on it.
yeah, and it's not easy, and it doesn't take care of everything, but it. Like we were talking about earlier with that world record attempt, if you chip away little pieces
Yeah.
and then you add it up, just like training, right? If you consistency, persistence, and time,
Yeah.
you can create a pretty big impact. And
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that I'm sitting on a couch in Kuwait should be proof enough for you.
Yeah.
That it's not every part of the book will work, not every part of the plan will work, but you will 100% get something out of the book. And I also tried to set the price point low, which is not the best business move. But I want people to learn. I'd rather have more people read it and make a little less money than have a couple people read it and charge some astronomical price. Because there's like, I got the secrets to sponsorship, $400, and it's like a 30-page pamphlet. And you're like, what the,
You just start selling programs online.
Yeah. So
the OCR mastermind.
yeah, I should kind of do that if I was
Yeah.
more motivated to do some of that, and a little more, I don't know, sleazy. I don't know.
Sleazy.
I just
you
feel
can
like
like it the right way.
I feel icky sometimes when you like. I feel like when the information's good, but again, I just don't want to overcharge people. Not overcharge them, but I don't. As someone who we were talking about this earlier, as someone who reads books, I always get like upset when I go to buy something that's like really expensive. And I was like, come on, man, like.
Yeah.
But the information's good, and it was learned through a lot of lessons and a decade plus of work, and we've got the longest running professional obstacle course race team, established 2016. There's no other teams around that were around in 2016. Teams have risen, teams have fallen.
Yeah.
Our team is still here. We've changed title sponsors several times, and that is, I literally stole that from other sports, right? You look at cycling teams, they change title sponsors like every couple of years. So it's like, oh, well, we're not going anywhere. As long as we have athletes that we're willing to band together, and you get a lot of benefits, right? So you've got some personal sponsors.
Yeah.
I have personal sponsors now. I think I got like one or two still.
Yeah.
I used to have some personal sponsors, but then we also have team sponsors. And again, you aggregate all that stuff, your individual sponsors, team sponsors, and it takes the cost of something that was really expensive into something that either costs less, or if you're good, makes money.
Yeah.
And if you make money doing what you love, you can do more of that.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet.
Exactly.
So we'll drop some links down below, some of the coaching stuff, the Valley Glow Punch.
Yeah.
We'll drop those in below, and then I'll drop some links to some of the books and stuff like that. And again, if you missed the announcement, Strength and Speed podcast, I basically killed it. Just got tired of too busy life. Felt like I said what I needed to say. So this is kind of the new format. So I'll probably do them on live on Facebook occasionally. It'll be very irregular, and then upload them to YouTube. So the Strength and Speed YouTube channel. We'll have videos like this, and then if you want the old Strength and Speed content, those podcasts, you can find that on the Strength and Speed YouTube, and kind of dig through those old episodes. But,
Yeah.
cool.
Awesome.
We'll check back in with you guys tomorrow. Again, we have a 1K. 1K is the kids race. The 300-meter race is
Kids are
tomorrow.
running further than us?
I think so.
Oh, jeez.
So we got that race tomorrow. Again, head over, check out the Instagrams, see the video of the course of today.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, guys. Later.